So hey, here we go. I wanted to record a little video just talking about this blog, or more specifically reading over it. And if there's anything worth talking about, then I'll talk about it. If there's nothing worth talking about, I'm not going to upload this. I may look a little bit disheveled and sound a bit groggy because I did just wake up. I wanted to get this done as soon as I saw that it was going on early in the morning, as I would like to get some stuff going with. I would like to do some stuff with the family today. So I want to get this done quickly and out of the way, and me leaning on the desk, this desk is not too stable, so I think I am making the webcam shake. So that might be, there might be a bit of wobbling going on there. It is the webcam wobbling and not my entire house, luckily. So yeah, we got this whole blog here. It's talking about the content that will be coming free for the Shadows of Change DLC, because they're acknowledging that it did not pack enough punch to match the price tag. The way they said it is, we'll cut straight to it. We didn't give you enough new characters and units to play with at the original release of Shadows of Change. I generally think that is the main issue that a lot of people have with Shadows of Change, is that the price point of Shadows of Change I felt was just, but then I tend to be a Creative Assembly apologist. I'm very fond of Creative Assembly and the game they've done so far. I'm always happy to see more content added. But I felt that the price point for Shadows of Change was largely put on the campaign mechanics. And the campaign mechanics were a lot of fun. They're very interesting. They're very complex. They were big changes for all three of the legendary lords. Now, that's not to say they were perfectly designed. The fact that the changeling can't lose is definitely a design issue. But they're very fun and very different campaigns for the time that I've played them. But people have a tendency to expect there to be the Lord packs. Generally, they have a little bit coverage in several areas. It's not just the new campaigns, it's also the new units. They're available to every faction. And in that regard, Shadows of Change felt like a standard Lord pack, even though it was more than twice the cost. And that was a big issue for a lot of people. I thought the units were very quality over quantity. The Akshina for Kislev stuck out as being a bland unit that was not very visually impressive, nor very impressive in gameplay, especially because at launch they were just stealthy but better. Thankfully, the nerf has fixed that. But every other new unit that was received, was very visually impressive and added new roles to their army. So I thought that was all very good. But there weren't a whole lot of the units to justify the price point, and no matter how quality a unit is, people are going to expect numbers to match a price point. And further, there weren't characters for Tzeentch. Kislev got a new hero type. Cathay got a new lord type, which I thought was iffy. I thought Cathay needed a new hero type more than they needed a new lord type, but whatever. So it stuck out that Tzeentch didn't get anything. And I certainly noticed these things. I don't remember if I was recording any videos at the time. I think I was. I think I did remark on them. There's certainly a Conan Exiles video somewhere on my channel where me and Soon argue about it a bunch. But nonetheless, yeah, that's I think pretty dead on right to what the issue was that most people had with it. Because it's not just a DLC for that new faction, that new legendary lord playing their campaign. It's also a new DLC for introducing the new units to the other factions. I bet both of the Empire DLCs that people buy, they don't actually play Marcus or Volkmar. They buy it so they can get access to Free Company and Huntsman, and probably not War Wagons, but Flagellants. They could get access to all of those in the Karl Franz campaign. But yeah, nonetheless, let me grab a drink of water here because my throat is really scratchy. So, they've listened to the feedback, passionate about the game, the yada yada, those sorts of things that you expect people to say whenever they've messed up with customers. And they're talking about the era of Karl Franz. I guess to separate it from the old world, which is now released. That is a new concern that the Total War Warhammer devs are going to have, is the old world. Because they may be interested in adding in more stuff from the old world, but at the same time, who knows if Games Workshop... I want to say Games Workshop has... the policy is that the modders are not allowed to add anything from the old world. I could be wrong about that, but I want to say that Games Workshop is considering it a separate license from Warhammer Fantasy in that regard, and as such, modders cannot add stuff from the old world. Creative Assembly, I believe, still can, but we've not seen it yet, so that'll be interesting when we get to it. So yeah, we're going to be looking forward to a sizable collection of reinforcements. Won't be adding Hag Mothers as generic lords, as Mother Ostankia is the only Hag Mother of Kislev. That I don't... That's a flimsy excuse, but modders have already added Hag Mothers for people who want Hag Mothers, which includes me, but right now I'm trying to cut down on mods. The relationship between Gospodars and Unggols is taking a backseat as we look less at the tensions of historic Kislevite culture and more as what defines Kislev as a united military force. Don't like that. To me, the Gospodar Ungol split is the defining element of, like, the Kossars are supposed to represent, yes, a newer future of Kislev that's more ethnically united, but the Ungol Horse Archer split with the Gospodar Winged Lancers, to me, is a major part of the military identity of Kislev, at least as presented on the tabletop before. But I get that if they wanted to try and implement the Gospodar Ungol split now, it would look odd in concert with the rest of the roster not showing that split at all. I get they're kind of just covering their asses there. I can't blame them. I still don't like it, but by now it would require a massive roster overhaul. No beaks for Zongors. Yeah, that wasn't a big issue for me. Okay, what are we expecting moving forward? Okay, so they're setting a policy not just for Shadows of Change, but for Throne of Decay. The Hot Pot Catapult and the Golden Knight alike, they mention the Golden Knight as in the legendary hero for Kislev, potentially. I forget her name. It was something like Nastasia or something. Which she would be a legendary hero for Kislev, probably. Given that Creative Assembly doesn't want to add many more legendary lords because the Immortal Empire's map is already full. And yeah, Throne of Decay will follow, the Shadows of Change format, and presumably the DLC after Throne of Decay. So, 3 legendary lords, 3 legendary heroes, 1 each per race. Unique gameplay mechanics for each legendary lord. 3 lords, 1 per race, 3 heroes, 1 per race. Okay. 5 units per race, 3 regiments of renown per race, 1 free LC character. That's a big increase relative to what Throne of Decay got. Throne of Decay got 1 lord, 1 hero. 3 lords, 3 heroes is pretty crazy. Nonetheless, if it's not the Hag Mother as a lord for Kislev, what are they going to add as a lord per Kislev? Okay, I guess we'll see what Cathay's going to get, but I'm excited to see that, because I think Cathay really needs a new hero type. So I'm excited to see this. But 5 units per race. Cathay got the 2 lions, the drums, and the crowmen, so they're only going to get 1 more unit, apparently, in this update. Kislev got Akshina, Things in the Woods, Incarnate Element of Beast, so they're going to get 2 more. Tzeentch got Zongors, Vortex Beast, Cockatrice, I think. So they're going to get 2 more units. Okay, that's going to be a lot of stuff. That's going to be interesting then. Yeah, that's also going to mean, for Thrones of Decay, that's going to be a new Lord type and Hero type for the Dwarfs and the Empire, which is a surprise. I guess for the Empire, that works out perfectly, because the Empire's new Lord type would just be probably the Knight Master, probably, and the new Hero type would be their Engineer. For the Dwarfs, maybe it would be the Dragon Lord. The Dragon Slayer as a hero and the Demon Slayer as a Lord. That'd be cool. I'd also personally be pulling for potentially an Engineer Lord for the Dwarfs, because they got that. They could get that way back in like a side army list in 6th edition in the back of the book, but that's a Guild Master. There we go. It was called the Engineering Guild Master, but that's a bit of a niche pull, and honestly, the Demon Slayer Lord would probably be the smarter choice. People want to run all Slayer armies because Slayers are cool and they're a distinctive element of the setting. Kind of the icon of the setting, really. But that's all very cool. That's very nice to see. So, no, a little bit more of just puffing up the audience. Allowing to lead more thematic armies. Add both low-tier troops and big centerpiece monsters. I like that. I like that a lot. I like building thematic armies. I know there are a lot of people who play the game to cheese and build doom stacks. I've never liked that playstyle. I turn on the tabletop caps mod to counter that playstyle. I just don't like it. But The addition of more low-tier troops and more thematic units, I really dig that. And they're working on Katarine's sled. That's very nice. It'd be nice if, it would be nice if all the Ice Witches and Ice Maidens could get ice sleds in exchange for losing the bear mounts. But more likely they're just going to add the sleds and not take away the bears, because people don't like it when you take things away. To me, it would make more sense for the Boyars and the Patriarchs to keep the bears. Especially since the Patriarchs are already the religious figures of Kislev's new united religion, which I'm still not a big fan of, but whatever. So, if they're priests of Ursun alongside Tor and Daj, then it makes sense that they would probably be able to get Ursun to give them a bear. And they do consider, they say they're moving to significantly bridge the gap to our past products in like Chaos Dwarfs and what we will offer moving forward, starting with Shadows of Change. Does that mean they consider Chaos Dwarfs to be the start of the lack of content in DLC, or are they considering Chaos Dwarfs the last DLC that had a satisfying amount of content? I don't know. I know a lot of people didn't like the Chaos Dwarfs was $25, but I thought it was a very great DLC, so. Okay, so they're enriching the offerings of Grand Cathay and Shadows of Change, focused heavily on the theme that surrounds the Jade Dragon and his celestial core. Okay, that's cool. Having eyes everywhere. Conversations with the Games Workshop for the lore. And they're looking for filling in some of the gaps in the Grand Cathay roster, as with the Gate Master and Celestial Lion. And the Celestial Lion nearly made the cut for the original release. Okay, so I'm going to assume Gate Master, that's a new hero type. Okay, whatever, we'll get to it when they show it. First ever legendary hero for Grand Cathay, Seitang the Watcher. Holy. Is this a flying terracotta sentinel? Okay. A colossal legendary hero. Yes, he's a legendary terracotta sentinel. Seitang represents an ever-watching protective figure, not dissimilar to Yuan Bo. Okay, so he's going to be an archer, a legendary hero that is a artillery hero. Okay. He lends himself to the connection the Jade Dragon has to the winds of Azir, and the more magical elements of Grand Cathay. Known as the Guardian of the Sky, the Heavenly Bowman, or commonly to the people of the southern provinces, simply the Watcher, Seitang is the great sentinel that stands atop the mountains of heaven. Towering over other sentinels, Seitang is an imposing sight, with its outstretched wings and great stone-feathered helm. Those who have witnessed Seitang in battle claim no armor or barrier can turn aside the arrows it fires from its great wind bow, the shafts piercing the ranks of the enemy and even the iron hides of fell beasts. And even though Seitang cannot fly in the truth sense, its power allows it to leap great distances, even jumping from mountain peak to mountain peak in the defense of the Empire. Okay, this dude is sick. I have to wonder, the Terracotta Sentinels, I wonder, the Tomb King constructs, if memory serves, all of them except the Necrosphinx, have some kind of soul taken from the land of the dead, bound into them. The great old heroes, or even criminals, of Nehekara are bound into the constructs. And I've wondered before if the Terracotta Sentinels in Cathay are something similar, but I don't know if they'll ever explain that, because there are some things where Games Workshop can be perfectly comfortable just not explaining what intelligence is driving the constructs. So, okay, yeah, okay, wow, they're even showing us, like, the wireframe version of them, like, from early development. That's neat. I like that. I like development in images. Okay, yeah, he is a thumbnail image, a quick and flexible. We'll get the scale, the flavor. Just showing concept art. Yeah, they're just going through all the development. That's cool. I like that, yeah. At least for the model. And Seitang is a giant-sized legendary hero. That's very cool. He's very similar to the Bone Giant. I'm noticing that, though obviously the wings are a big change. Oh, that's so cool. That is such a cool unit. That is like crazy, that's like very Chinese mythology. It's very cool. He's strong in close combat, I would expect that. And can jump large distances to close on the gap on the enemy. I assume that translates to just having high speed, because there's never been a Total War unit that has a, like, if you've ever played Dawn of War, the Assault Marines would have jump packs that would allow them to move from one area to another, pretty well teleporting, except that they had an animation of flying to that spot. So he's a construct. They've reevaluated the role of constructs on the Cathay roster. Terracotta Sentinel and both Guardian lines are now considered constructs. And Satang gives buffs to constructs. That's nice. He's big, he's heavy, and he's an artillery piece. Yeah, Satang, that's a really cool, very different legendary hero that really contributes something different to the Cathay roster. That's very nice. And the new generic hero type is the Gate Master. And of course, he was in the concept art for the game. I even have the art book over here. It's very nice. Steal at a discount bookstore. Don't even know how it got there. I don't know who would give that to a discount bookstore, but it's mine now, and I'm keeping it. Jade Warriors are the professional soldiers of Grand Cathay, and the Gate Master of the Celestial Cities are their leaders. To earn the title of Gate Master, a Jade Warrior must have served in the defense of their city, and many are veterans of the Empire's many wars. Like their soldiers, a Gate Master is trained in defensive warfare and how best to defend their city. As such, know how to read the lay of the land before a battle. This can prove useful in enacting the will of their Lord Magistrate, who trusts their Gate Masters above all other officers in their armies. Okay, so this is an infantry hero who I assume is more focused on defensive buffs for infantry. That's cool for Cathay. I do like the idea of Cathay's solid defensive formation playstyle. Excuse me. And I like getting a hero that buffs that. Hybrid weaponry, what does that mean? Okay, so he gets both a sword and a crossbow, I assume. Yes, he gets a crossbow, and then he can switch. He is the first hero with a conventional crossbow. Dark Elf repeaters notwithstanding. Is there a Dark Elf hero with a crossbow? Because the Dark Elf heroes are the master. The Assassin has a crossbow, but it's a little pistol crossbow. It's a little bit different. The crossbow character I think of most distinctly is the Dark Elf Dreadlord, the male one. But yeah, I guess this is the first one with a regular crossbow. He excels at defensive warfare, buffs friendly battle lines. He can be mounted on a war horse, and he gets a sword, a shield, and a crossbow. Nice. And a new unit is the Great Moonbird. Monster and monstrous mount. Oh, okay. Favorite of the Empress, the Great Moonbirds are found in the highest peaks of the mountains of heaven. They are said to make their nests in the craters of Manzlieb, the silver moon of the Warhammer world, and only fly down to earth when called by either the Empress or the most powerful astromancers. Fearsome to behold in battle, the Moonbird are often wreathed in silvery flames, or moonfire, which burns the enemies of the Empire who would come into contact with it. Powerful lords, especially wizards of the Celestial Court, might even be granted a Moonbird as a mount, though this is usually only for a short time before the creature once more returns to the heavens. They're aliens. This is continuing the Moon Empress's thing of being aliens from the moon. That's interesting. Okay, so are they... That raises the question, if they're aliens like the Moon Empress. The Moon Empress is an alien that shapeshifts blatantly. When you read the lore about her in the little text tips we get for her, she's a shapeshifting alien. So are these Great Moonbirds the same? Nonetheless, they look cool. They're a good reuse of Phoenix assets, certainly. I was curious about when we were going to get a Phoenix type equivalent for Cathay, because there was a good couple mentions of the Great Firebirds of the South at a good couple times. But this is cool. I like this. More stuff to tie in with the Moon Empress in particular, for all the stuff that ties in with the Dragon Emperor already in the roster. So that's very cool. So it is similar to the High Elf Phoenixes. It's a magic flying monster with flaming attacks and a powerful AoE vortex ability. Interesting. That's definitely a way to make for more potential offensive strategies for Cathay, giving them a big flying monster with a vortex to destabilize enemy formations. He provides air-to-air defense for the sky junks. He can attack enemy lines from in deep. And he's a mount for the Astromancer. Okay, that's curious. Because what is it? The Alchemist gets a Warhorse mount and then a Sky Junk mount, doesn't she? Or no, it's a Sky Lantern. The Astromancer got the Warhorse and then the celestial compass. But now this gives the Astromancer the ability to really dive into combat. That's going to be interesting, because the Alchemist and the Astromancer, neither of them are really good at fighting, but this will allow the Astromancer to be a good combat hero. So that's interesting. And the Celestial Lion, oh my god. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, Celestial Lion is both a monster and a monstrous mount. Cathay got crazy monsters this time. I was kind of anticipating them getting a new low-tier troop, because they said they were going to add those. Maybe Kislev and Tzeentch got those. But yeah, Cathay got monsters. The Celestial Lion's beauty and strength is second to none, I'll say. That's a gorgeous unit. Winged lions exist in the East, or they exist. Believed to have descended from natural beasts warped during the coming of chaos to the world. Unlike the fell manticores of the West, these celestial beasts have been purified by the power of the Dragon Emperor, and live within the sacred hunting grounds of the forests of the moon. Favored sorcerers or warriors may be gifted such a dragon creature by the dragons, riding it into battle and striking fear into the foes of the Empire. So it's purified manticores. That's wild. What all can the Dragon Emperor purify? That raises questions. Nonetheless, good-looking unit. Again, good reusage of... I was about to say good reusage of Manticore assets, but it doesn't look like it's animated on the Manticore skeleton. Looks like it's more so possibly animated on the Hippogriff skeleton. Curious. Okay, the Celestial Lion is another flying single-entity monster for the armies of Cathay to utilize, similar to a Griffin or Manticore. Air support on a budget. Okay, so the Great Moonbird is expensive, but the Celestial Lion is cheap. Okay, good to know. The Celestial General can take him as a mount. Okay, that's interesting for the Celestial General. The Celestial General could ride the... Could already ride the... How am I forgetting the name of the Dragon Horse hybrids Cathay has that the Dragon Blooded could already ride? Oh, I feel bad that I'm forgetting that, but nonetheless, I am forgetting that. But yeah, it's the Fearsome Roar ability and the Terror attribute. Okay, so it's good for... It's going to be good for cycle charging and getting the enemies to rout using Fear and Terror, so that's nice. So that's all very cool. And covering an omission, an elite core infantry unit. They aren't monkeying about. Okay, so it's making it clear. Yeah, so they want to hit another Cathay DLC later on down the line with the Monkey King and Monkey Infantry. Yes, that makes sense. I'm glad for that, because I hope that whenever the Monkey King DLC comes around, we get both a Monkey Lord and a Monkey Hero, so we can make monkey armies for the Monkey King. That'd be really cool. So, excited for that still, but that's probably off of past the foreseeable future into the far future there, because the next DLC focus is going to clearly be on Empire Dwarf Snurgle, and boy does Snurgle need it. I'm curious to see what Kislev and Tzeentch get, because this is very exciting stuff. And neither Kislev nor Tzeentch are lacking for low-tier units. Curious, okay. And the team are still working on everything ready to release. They can release it at any time if it's going to be this kind of good stuff, especially for free for everybody who's already bought the DLC. And yeah, trying to figure out issues, throwing on a bit of polish at the end. And they're on track to release in the middle of the month. Could shift close. Middle of the month, they better get to releasing these blogs faster than it's the 8th. Where it's only a few days away, getting to the middle of the month as I would consider it, but they could shift it later into the end of February. I hope they don't have to, I want them to have as much time as they need, but I know that the community can be very persnickety, especially with the Shadows of Change stuff going on. Next week, they'll come back with a deep dive on the additional units coming to Tzeentch, along with a confirmation of the release date. Okay, this is all very good stuff. This has made me extremely hyped for the next DLC, certainly. I want to see what the rest of Kislev and Tzeentch's stuff is, because that's all very good stuff. Especially Tzeentch is going to be getting a new Lord type and a new Hero type in one fell swoop. Sheesh. And how much of the stuff is going to be shared with the other Chaos factions? Because I thought that was one thing that was really cool about the DLC, was that Kislev and Tzeentch's new units got shared with other factions. The Beastmen got the Zongors and the Incarnates of the Woods at the same time, and the Warriors of Chaos got the Cockatrice and the Vortex Beast. So that was all very cool. I'm curious if Zinch will get any more stuff that gets shared with the other Chaos factions, or maybe if Zinch will get some stuff that's exclusive. I have wondered that with these new DLCs for the Mono God armies, if they might get some exclusive stuff, because that'd be really neat. But either way, yeah, this is really good news. This is all really cool stuff. I hope this turns people's opinions around, but anger and hatred feel good. Nonetheless, if you don't like the way this game is going, then you probably don't want to tune into my channel. Like I said, apologetics. But anyways, yeah, I'm very excited for this. This seems very cool, like very cool stuff. There's going to be a cool update, and when Throne of Decay comes out, I'll definitely be buying that if it offers this much content. Good lord. And yeah, with all that excitement put there, I guess I'll talk more about this next week when they show off the Zinch stuff. Though I guess maybe I should go ahead and go over real quick just to get a little bit of content into the video, a little bit more actual content into the video that isn't just me reading off words. Looking at this offers, anytime there's unit additions, it begs the question of, like, how can it change the gameplay style of that army? The Gate Master is a big one just from the jump for the defensive buffs of making Cathay's defensive playstyle a bit more viable. And I've not put in a spectacular amount of time with Cathay. There are definitely bigger Cathay players out there. Much bigger Cathay players out there. But Cathay, to me, were interesting. They didn't seem as strong at just sheer defense as the Dwarfs. So you had to be a bit more flexible with your formation. But Cathayan units are much faster than Dwarf units. So you had the capability to be more flexible with your formation. The whole yin-yang system got a big change with the introduction of the Jet Lions, which added a yin unit that you could have that was melee. So you could play a very melee-focused Cathay and a much more aggressive Cathay while still getting it to take advantage of the yin-yang system. Now, I've noticed they haven't listed off what the yin-yang harmony is for the Moonbird or the Celestial Lion. I am curious about that. The Celestial Lion will almost certainly be yang, but I do wonder if the Moonbird probably won't be yin because the Crowmen weren't yin, and the Moonbird is basically going to be a super Crowman. But the addition specifically to the Air Force of Cathay, these are two nice, very nice flying units for Cathay. They're going to really put Cathay on the board for the top air forces in the game. Because really the best selections of flying units in the game, Bretonnia and the Vampire Counts have the best flying unit selections in the game. They have access to good, relatively cheap. Bretonnia, Pegasus Knights aren't super cheap, but Bretonnia you get used to paying a little bit for the units you like. Vampire Counts, of course, have the whole spectrum from the super cheap Felbats to the super expensive Terrorgeist. While Bretonnia gets access to more high-tier stuff between the Hippogriffs and the Royal Pegasus Knights. So, Cathay's going to be getting on the board there for the crazy Air Force selections with these new big monsters they can take in addition to the cheap Crowmen and the good flying cavalry. So that's one thing that's going to be curious. And of course, both of these present new possibilities both for offensive and defensive play here. So that's all very good, and a new flying mount for the Astromancer, so now both of Cathay's wizard heroes get access to a flying mount, which is very big for them. It's an additional way to keep them safe from lords and heroes on foot that are built to assassinate wizard heroes like that. So that's all very cool stuff. These are some very nice big roster additions for Cathay. I like that. I'm a sucker for new units, admittedly. So I'm sure there are people who wanted more campaign changes, and they're probably going to be looking at this going like, who cares? But, no, Shadows of Change was already good for campaign stuff. If there is anyone complaining about a lack of new campaign stuff, I would, of course, like to see perhaps some changes to Changeling to make it where he can't just not lose. But this is all very cool stuff. Curious to see where Zinch and Kislev go. Guess I'll talk about that when the time comes. I'll see you then.